Hey, welcome to the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute with your host, the alchemist of Indiana's Black Forest, Alan Bishop. Hey, this channel is all about home distilling and legal distilling. If you've got questions, reach out to us in the comments below, social media, or via bishopshomegrown@gmail.com. And don't forget to check out thealchemistcabinet.com. Hey guys, back again answering your questions. As always, if you have questions, send them to me. bishopshomegrown@gmail.com, any of my social media, the YouTube comments below, etc., etc. However you can get your questions to me, send them to me. I'll keep answering them here at the One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute. Should have a video coming up here shortly about the Johnny 5 edition Ozark Stillworks still with the air agitation on it. I've got really thick rye whiskey mash I'm keeping the solids in, and we're going to make sure that that thing doesn't scorch anything. I don't believe it will. I have that much faith in it, so I'll be showing that off to you here in the near future. Excuse me. And until then, I'll still be here answering your questions. So we got a couple a day. Let's dive into them. Again, just keep sending me your stuff. I'll answer any way I can. Be sure to go out and check out thealchemistcabinet.com. Check out the warehouse there where you can get our books, our DVDs, etc. Check out our friends at Ozark Stillworks, as well as at 13 Stills. Support those guys. Check out 1030 Barrels. Check out Bad Motivator Barrels. All good products, guys, so dive right into it. So hi Alan, could you comment on possible reasons why some distillers claim to prefer direct fired stills for their superior flavor? Of course I'm referring to pot distillation. I wonder if direct fire creates hot spots in the kettle that causes some change in the spirit. Thanks for all you do. I remain a big fan of your YouTube channel and podcast, George L. So great question. So I think I touched on this in my books as well. If I didn't, I'll definitely do it in the next book, but I'm pretty positive I already have. But I am always glad to answer these kind of questions because they're right up my alley. So the reason that direct fired stills are preferred, and to be honest with you, if I had my druthers in the legal industry, I'd be running direct fired stills, but it's hard to get your insurance to cover that. Obviously, open flame next to, distilled spirits. Except in historic accounts, like we'll have direct fired stills at Daisy Spring Mill Distillery at Spring Mill State Park. There's direct fired stills, obviously, at George Washington's Mount Vernon. I've gotten to run before. And at home, I love running direct fired stills. That's what I grew up on. That's what I was around. I'm incredibly comfortable with it. It doesn't make me nervous at all. It just takes common sense, right? The reason that direct fired stills have often been preferred by pot still distillers is because of their inefficiency. So, what I mean by that is, the formation of esters and phenols from long chain fatty acids. Those are very much tied to time under heat. The longer the time under heat, the more those esters and fatty acids you break down into long chain fatty acids and phenols. So that's one reason. The second reason is exactly what you're talking about: hot spots in the still. So those hot spots in the still are a lot like cooking on a grill, right, over top of an open flame. You get things like Maillard reactions. So you get this caramelization, this superheating of certain spots in the still that causes this caramelization and these intense flavors that you don't get when you run, say, a Bain Marie that's steam heated or a Bain Marie with an oil jacket, etc. These are really cool eccentricities that are unique to each and every single still that runs direct fire. Even two stills being built exactly the same and run next to one another with two different fires are going to have slightly different results just from the fire alone, where the hot spot is, etc. Of course, having agitation in there, that can change that up a little bit too, because everything's moving around a little bit more, although you still get some hot spots. You don't really get a chance for any of the liquid to set on that hot spot for a really long amount of time. But there's certainly something to be said for the old-fashioned way of doing things, the inefficiencies of it. The other part of it is that it takes a real skill as a distiller, especially if you're running on wood or any other kind of natural fuel like that, as opposed to just gas, to be able to actually manage your distillation, right? You don't want a big fire. You don't want, really a lot of times you're just operating off of coals. It doesn't take much to operate one of those stills. Even a 100-gallon pot still, once you get your coal bed built up, you can run that off of 3 or 4 very small pieces of wood, almost just a little bit bigger than kindling, like what you would use to start your fire with, as long as you got a good firebox. But it's all about controlling that heat and knowing when you need to add more wood, pull the wood back. It keeps you very involved. You're focusing not only on the fire, you're focusing more on the liquor. You're focusing more on the quality of the liquor because you're in the moment. You can't be distracted. You're not going to be looking at your phone. You're not going to be looking at the computer. You're paying attention to exactly what you're doing. And so therefore there's a great opportunity to make a higher quality spirit because the distiller's involvement is so much higher in the process, if that makes sense to you. So yes, I'm a huge fan of direct fired still, and again, if I could do it, I'd do it legally everywhere. So let's see what else we got here. Hold on just 1 second. All right, so question about a 4x4 plated column from Brent Banis. Good morning, Alan. I am used to running pot stills with a thumper, and now I've acquired a 4-plate column. I was doing a vinegar run, and it was really challenging, trying to get the plates balanced. I had everything from the top plate flooding only, then the first, second, no action in the third, and the fourth would fill up. I wonder if the presence of alcohol will make a difference. I clearly have no idea what I'm doing and need a little help here. Is there any videos out there that can help with this issue? Thanks again for sharing all your knowledge with us. I always look forever to your podcast with Christy. You've also gotten me into absinthe, and I found a local distillery that makes them a really nice product. Hopefully we'll make it down to your distillery this year, and I will try my best to smuggle a bottle across for you. Hell yeah. So the absinthe he sent me a picture of, it's Dylan's Small Batch Distiller's Absinthe. I have not had that one. I'm going to have to check that out. That's a new one on me. So, all right, let's talk about your plate issue here. So this is common in hybrid style stills. It's very, very common. And it's a combination of a couple of different things. So the first thing that I would look at on your plated column, so that's a 4-inch, that's a decent size for a small still. You know, usually people run into problems when they're down on 2-inch stuff for sure, but it's not common to run into it on 4-inch stuff. I run into it all the time running hybrid distillation for contract distilled stuff at Spirits of French Lick, and you know, counting from the top going down as far as plates go, so the top one being 1, second one being 2, third one being 3, fourth one being 4 on a 4-plate column. Typically what I will find is that plate number 3 I can hardly ever get any kind of liquid level on. A lot of times I'll flood plate number 1, right? Sometimes it's the opposite. Plate number 4 I flood often. Sometimes I can't get anything built up on plate 1 and 2. It's really all about trying to fine-tune the deflator and fine-tune the amount of heat going into the still, or picking one of the two and only focusing on that one. So in other words, get your deflator set and use your heat to tune everything in, or get your heat set and use your deflator to tune everything in. It's not always going to run perfect. You're going to have plates that flood. You're going to have plates that don't fill at all. You're going to have plates that don't fill evenly. That's just sort of the nature of those sort of fluted columns like that on hybrid stills, and I wish that there was an easier way to explain that, an easier way to show you how to do it, but I never have mastered it. They're just not incredibly efficient, and they're not designed to necessarily be perfectly efficient either. You know, you're still dealing with a batch system. You're still dealing with pot still distillation and all the variables that come along with that. It's kind of one of those things where you do the best you can, and it's also not a sort of set it and forget it thing. It's something that you're going to be messing with throughout the distillation cycle. So in other words, you're not going to find one heat and one deflator setting and stick to that the whole time. It's going to change, right? You start to see a plate go dry, you know, maybe you need to hit reflux again. Start to see a couple plates go dry, maybe hit full reflux one more time, right? And fill them back up. You just kind of do the best that you can. But bear in mind that they will run dry as the temperature goes up, the volatility goes up, different alcohols are separated out on those plates, and then the volatility changes, they're going to go dry, right? It's just the nature of it. So keep playing around. You know, if one of them floods and it really bothers you, then open up all your returns. If you have any returns on, you may not even have any returns. Maybe kill your heat for a minute, let everything drop out, turn it back on, start trying to refill it, right? With what I have at work, it's a little easier because I do have the ability to actually turn the return pipe off, right? So I can then purposely flood each plate. But even then, even with that extra little bit of control, it doesn't always do what I'd like it to do. I wish I had a greater answer than that for you, but that's kind of just the way that those systems tend to work most of the time. So you're not doing anything wrong. Just keep playing with it and tune it in as you go, man. So see if we might have one or two more here we can get into. So let's see. Nope, that's the direct fired stills question again. Alright, I think that's all we got for now, guys. Again, thanks for your support and keep the questions coming. I hope you still appreciate the talking head videos. I know they're not crazy exciting, but I try to fit a lot of information into them to help you guys out. So, alright guys, have a great day. Later.